think it's working. I think it's working. Shit. Okay. Let's do some driving. Oh fuck, I need my controller to put the chat in OBS. Because I can't see the chat yet. Give me a second. Hello everyone. I mean, is there a pace issue? Well, I'm new to the sim, so maybe. Theoretically, yes, that is an issue. But we're here to fix it. Okay. The Oculus mirror is working. Okay, so I should be able to show you the mirror. The OBS should be able to pick it up. Yep, it all works. Nice. And I've been trying out some random stuff yesterday myself. I think that was the setup I ended up with. I just want to feather on. Just try different stuff. What works? What dampers work? What suspension works? What brake, like migration, bias, what works, if I can play with camber and tow, if they generate a lot of heat or not, and shit like that. Just random stuff. Well, there's not much happening in ACC right now apart from fun community events. There's no SRO that is happening in ACC so far. So, I mean, there's gonna be some races in ACC that we're surely gonna still do. But it's not like I'm doing it daily, right? And this seems like an interesting sim to pick up right now. And I just want to see how it's gonna develop. So I'm enjoying driving so far in this. So let's just try something different. But it's not like there's gonna be no more ACC. I mean, I love ACC in its current state. It's a bit down, right? But I really like liked ACC over the years, so it's not like I'm abandoning it, but it's just different for now, yeah. Okay, so this is the set I have. I don't remember how it's different from the base. We can actually see how it's different from the base. So if I loaded this, and then I can if I click compare, will it show me? No, it's not gonna show me. Load default setup, and then if I press to compare this, now it's gonna show me stuff, right? Yes, so obviously way less fuel. So what we're doing, way less fuel, because it's a quali set that I'm trying here for Hotlapping. Water and radiator covers, so it's faster. Different TC settings. So I'm gonna do more testing with this. But what I found was lowering them really gave me a lot of just pace for one lap only, right? Because this is for just hot lapping. Then I didn't need as much regen just for hot lap, and like we found out on all the other race that we did in community, race at Portimao, like there's a lot of regen at that track. It's easy to keep the battery high, and for whatever reason, for myself, I have a feeling like sometimes the regen like pushes you into the corners a lot if you have a lot of it. Maybe it was only because it happens when you are with battery being really high. I don't know. We're gonna play with that, right? That's why we're here. Short gear ratios. I found out that diff that was a lot more open was feeling better with also very little preload. But stuff to change. I tried more camber, so more camber in the front, more on the rear. By default, there's not much brake migration and higher brake bias. What I was trying, so we're gonna go with that baseline that I tried myself yesterday, was full brake migration and very low brake bias. So initially, when I go on the brakes, it's not as far backwards, right? But as I try more and more and more, I assume it goes more and more backwards. And overall lowered max pedal force to 92%. So when I go fully on the brakes, it's not, it doesn't look up initially. Let me see what chat is saying also. Reset the default and FFB option screen. So some. Okay, I'll try it. I'll try it. Yeah. Well, if the battery is topped up, you cannot brake with the engine, with the electric engine anymore, because the battery is full and you get clipping, right? So I think that's how it works. Front brake ducts, I have no idea. I'm trying the car softer, as we can see, and with more rake. And dampers, I just overall rear is already quite soft. I don't know why I did that, but I did that. Let's maybe leave it at default. And then I overall lowered dampers on the front by a lot. Overall, just to soften them up, just to try stuff on soft, right? And anti-roll bars, I went to 6 and 2 I see on that setup, and then way lower toe. No, sorry, it was only 2 roll bars. I think I was trying also stiffer roll bars at some point overall. And full wing, because it's just full downforce. Anyway, let's start driving and just start testing. Because that's what we're here for. Brake migration works together with hybrid. I don't know. Okay. Is my force feedback on? It's dead for some reason. Why is it dead though? Do I have this pressed in? No. That's a good question. Why is my force feedback completely dead? Let's fix that. Also, hello everyone for joining the stream. Let's reset first play to default, because why the hell not? Although overall strength surely has to go down. Oh yeah, there is force feedback. Wait, what? No way! Are you telling me that if I press reset to default, it resets everything to default, like even the controls? Oh my god, what a stupid system. No, I need to rebind everything. Throttle, clutch, brake, shift up, shift down, neutral I don't need, request pit stop here, next MFD page here, previous I don't need, up, up, down, this is increase, decrease. Oh my god, what a troll. Speed limiter, headlights, head pulse, wipers, ignition, starter. Actually, wipers isn't this. Traction control override, increase, decrease. Fortunately, I remember it. Brake bias, forward, backwards, migration, forward, backwards. Is this correct? Yes. Motor map, up, down, and region. Wrong. I reached for the wrong knob. Gameplay, I don't need that. Camera, VR, head center, yeah, that works. Seat forward, backward, seat up, seat down. And I think that's it. Although I do need to calibrate. And the clutch. That's calibrated now, okay. What a troll. And now there's no force feedback. Nah, what the fuck? Oh, the game doesn't want to cooperate today. Let me just restart it. What am I doing? What if I just... let me think. What if just I rebind the... Because that sometimes could work. If I just rebind the steering axis. No. Yeah, I just reminded steering axis and it worked. Fair enough. Yep, still CV1. CV1 is still the king. A bit of blurriness and screen door effect, but I don't care because performance is great, comfort is great, color is great, contrast is great, tracking is great. It's CV1 is the perfect VR headset. It's just old and it doesn't have resolution. That's it. Everything about it is perfect apart from the resolution. And maybe you could ask for more FOV and, you know, super high refresh screen, but I don't care, 90 is really high. So you're telling me there's a specific FFB reset button? I don't have that. No. I will buy that then. So yeah, with lower TC, I found that I have to be a bit more cautious with how I apply the throttle, but I think we can find that balance where it doesn't really engage that much, yet I can still rely on it in a way on fast corners. So let's see. But if I don't keep the slide going, then I'm gonna over stabilize it and then it's gonna understeer, and that's turn 3. Shit. Yep. Hello. Oh fuck. I mean, I don't think the low resolution makes it a problem. It's not even that the resolution is low, it's just screen door effect and that's it. But I got used to it. In other headset, other stuff annoys me a lot more than the lack of resolution in this one. If I don't keep the slide going, it just understeers. likes it and just goes. Same here. Slow entry. Also, I ran out of the energy before. Completely out of energy before I could finish those laps. So maybe that regen that being low, it doesn't really work. But yeah, I mean, already I did 31.7, right? But I remember on that event, I was like barely getting into 32s, so it's a big improvement. Let's just play around with settings. So we know where we're going. We established where the baseline is. That's not what I want to do. Let me load this as a setup we're comparing to, and let's just see where it's gonna take me. So what I don't like with it, I'd like those high-speed slides to be even more controllable. So I think I need to play around with where the power is cut, at what angle and by how much. So I need to play with power cut and slip angle a bit. So I need to understand them. So I need to put like turn off the slip angle and put the power cut more, right? So let's try with this, and then we're gonna try the other way around, keeping the onboard TC on 8. And we just need to like check maybe going with like stiffer roll bars all around would be faster or not. Let's try it, why not? Also, the rear was ever so slightly locking, so I'm gonna move the bias forward. Just a touch. Low speed, it kicks in a lot. Yeah, I was driving with a bit less regen. But I don't have a problem with rear locking. I think the problem with rear locking is just me and wrong brake bias, rather than a wrong regen setting. But yeah, it could help. So let's maybe go to region that's only one click higher than what I was running. look how much I lost on the exit. I mean, colder tires in first lap, but the TC kicked in a lot. As well, completely killed off the exit. So it's not that bad high speed, but low speed it completely kills the exits. But also remember, the car is now on fully stiff roll bars, and I wonder if those fully stiff roll bars also make the TC cut in more, you know? Who knows? I did both changes at the same time. TC definitely doesn't work whatsoever. So let's try the opposite. Very low cut, but high slip. Okay. That's gonna ruin tires. Now we're completely on the other side of the spectrum where also with the diff setting I have, it just spins a lot of inside tire. Just testing, just testing. Okay. Those stiff bars are also not nice, I think. Let's go back to default. Let me do that. And that, and that. And oh wait, there was one more thing. I wanted to stiffen up the dampers back on the front, on the bump. No, I didn't. I don't have the DLC, so only McLaren GT3 for me. sure calmed it down a lot, but it's just under steering. Need to figure out even more balance, and like I could do a 130 on a clean lap, so whatever base I did feels nice, and that calmed it down, but it's still a bit too lively in certain places, so yeah, I am using TC Overrider, but it's also like sometimes I hit TC Override and it helps a lot. Sometimes I hit TC Override doesn't help whatsoever. I mean, I don't think I'm driving because I don't only think I know I'm not driving consistent enough yet to really make that big of a difference. On with certain approaches I take, right? Okay. Also, what I did is in the middle of the run, I stiffened up the rear roll bar. So what if I, rather than stiffening up the rear roll bar, I'm just gonna go back to stiffer rear springs. Yeah, the slip angle right now is, I agree, quite massive. it's gonna help and with anything. Let's just see. Stiffer springs, more rake rather than roll bar. Also, don't understand yet what approach through here is important, because it feels like you have to really focus on the exit, right? It would be logical. Every single time I really focus on the exit, it seems like I'm so slow through the mid part where I rotate the car, it's just not fast enough. It's like, it seems like to do it, I have to overslow the car. They do not want to rotate low speed really well, those cars. But it feels like if I could just throw speed at them and then rotate them aggressively on the exit, which is with the throttle, it also works. Car is lively. If I go TC override too early, it just becomes a monster on traction. Flat now. performance is good in VR. Fuck, I forgot about the one downshift. See, like if I overstabilize it at the bottom of that hill, like it's just gonna go into the understeer, settle down, and then as I go over the hill, there's not enough bite in the front end to make me not go wide. So I have to initiate that slide late enough, and also keep it on going, you know. It's tough. You know what? Like, I don't think that worked that well, so I'm gonna do the opposite, which is go back to the softer springs and try again with the stiffer roll bar. And I was gonna go back to the TC I used to be using on my laps yesterday, which is 833. Softer springs, but I see that there's a problem of biting in high speed. cracking. I'm really not comfortable with the brakes in this corner, you know? But there is pace in this. What would I like to change? Let's see how the car is gonna handle if I overall increase the springs by I don't know how much. Okay. It was on 1 and 2, so let's go at 5 and 6. I don't know, let's just see. I can barely hear that squeaking now that you told me. Yeah, it's squeaking quite a lot, but I barely notice it because I mean, for me the engine in the headphones is more audible than the paddles themselves. I can hear a click, but I don't hear the whole thing. But for you, obviously, the mic is picking up the whole detail, and they're quite loud, so there's not much I can do to suppress that. It's a lot more lively on stiff springs. Very lively in those springs. I think it's just slides too much overall. Like there's not much places where I can settle the car platform with those stiff springs. Tons of rotation, but it doesn't accelerate out of the corner because there's nothing of grip. It rotates with low speed because it's just stiffer, right? That's that basically. I don't like that. I really don't like that. So let's go back to this stuff test one, because why the fuck not? And rather than using this roll bar, let's go all the way to 10. I think max is 12, max is 15. 10. And less of this. Let's go back to whatever I was using earlier. Myself at the very Why is it showing me yellow flag? I'm alone on the track. Where is yellow? I mean, I guess I'm the yellow because I went a tiny bit wide, but how was that a yellow? To restart the session then. Next session, I guess restart session. Hello. Okay. I think I restarted it. I think I did. Hello. This is way too slow. Way too unstable on the entry. This is way too unstable on the entry. Is the preload 300, 300? Let's try a lot of preload. Oh, the menu bug. Well, you have to drift in that game, right? But not as much. That was way too much. Well, not drift, but you have to slide quite a lot. Stable out of the box. Question is how much more understeer it's gonna be. That understeer you can carry the speed through there. Myself. last few corners. But turn 1 on that lap was really good. So yeah, this is nice and stable. With that bar 4, this was nice and stable. I wonder how much stability that did the toe give me. Let's see what almost no toe is gonna feel like. Just to check how the toe feels. How the toe affects the differences. What differences that the toe make? How the toe affects the differences. English.
Fuck, what did I do? So stupid. from the app. I mean, this is the fastest lap of the day, and that was with this stupid invalidation. Repeated that lap, nice. 31-0. Do I have brake assist? Of course, no. This is all proper sim racing, no assists. No assists allowed. 31-0. That's a really nice lap. That is a really nice lap, I have to say. I'm gonna save that setup. Save setup. I'm gonna call it like that, because why not? Because it's test. So what do we have? Let's see how the setup compares to a default, okay? So load default setup, and then this compare. And let's just see how it compares. Of course, less fuel, a bit of tape, completely different TC. So that was this 833, and it worked. More electric motor, lower diff setting, so way lower power setting and a bit less coast. So I ended up again back on a higher preload, even though initially I was driving with quite low, but now we ended up with a bit higher preload, so I just could chuck the car in more into the corners. Short gearing, more camber. The brake setup was again less brake force overall, more migration, but not full, but 2, not 2.5. And brake bias further to the back, more camber, and the springs were softer overall and even softer at the rear than at the front. Like I softened the rear more because the rear is -3, the left went to all the way to 2, so 4 clicks less. More rake, a lot softer rebound, and a bit softer bump on the front, and on the rear slower bump. But then I actually wanted here to when I was making those changes, right? So let me go again and load that set. How do I? Oh fuck. When I was making those damper changes here, I wanted to, because I'm used to from ACC, there's a slow bump and then the fast bump and then slow rebound, fast rebound. But here it's slow bump, slow rebound, and then fast bump, fast rebound. So what I ended up, I made the slow rebound higher. From 3 I went to 6, but I wanted to actually make this go, because I thought that was on 3 and I want to go to 6, but it ended up this being on 4.
But nevertheless, the rebound on the rear is higher than the bump. That's what I wanted. And the roll bars ended up being on 2 on the front, 4 on the rear. And the last change that I did, that gave me surprisingly tons of speed with very little stability loss, I lowered the rear toe. That felt good. That was a good lap. Shame for half a tenth. Oh fuck. Half a tenth that I lost like somewhere in the hairpin, because that would have been a really nice lap. Do I want to quit this session? Yes, because I want to restart the game, and I have a look at that lap in the replay. But to have a look at that lap in the replay, I need to restart the game, because I can't watch replays in VR. Which is annoying. Because I just want to look at that lap to see what potentially I can do better in it. So I'm restarting the game quickly, give me a second. And in OBS I'll change the capture. I haven't binded all the controls for the camera settings yet, but I know that I got told that you can do some really good stuff in the replays in terms of the photo mode. But I played a bit with Reshade to make the game look a bit better, and I think that I can, and all of this I can turn off, but at least in terms of the color shading, what I did here, like lowered exposure, lowered gamma, lowered black, so there's even more like dynamic range, and lowered vibrance, up the saturation. That's what I did in Reshade Lightroom, and it made the game for me like look somewhat more realistic. Now I notice, like, if you see me turn it on and off, there's like that weird like blue tint on everything, and I really don't like that blue tint. And I think if I do that, it just makes it look a tiny bit more realistic. It doesn't matter. Let me look at that lap. That's gonna be this. Wait, so the fast lap ends here at 20, so it starts at 18 and a half, yeah, and then another lap is gonna then start at 16. Sorry, 17. So those are those 2 laps that I did that were very fast, one after another. I somehow gain more confidence in this corner on that particular set. And you see, through here, I completely killed off that rotation here on the exit. Like here, I just did that correction and made it, and it made it understeer, right? But that's what I mean. That if you have the confidence here to just continue this slide throughout the whole thing, but just making sure it's accelerating as much as possible while in that slide, right? So then you don't get because if you then stabilize it, well, as it goes off over the hill, the front isn't gonna be able to bite on the X, and it just understeers. But you can make the whole thing flat. And then in both occasions here, I went a tiny bit wide.
But with this setup, look how much I'm chucking the car into here, right? And when we were testing sets earlier, I had that trouble that, like, you have to make the car rotate a lot, and you have to make the car oversteer, because at the end of the day, rotation is king. But you saw at the beginning of that session, especially, I think, when I don't remember what settings in the... I think that was it when I tried the stiff suspension or very stiff, extremely stiff anti-roll bar. Like I had no confidence like that to just chuck the car in, let it slide, and complete that rotation, and it just clicked with this. Whatever clicks I did, it just worked. But here I couldn't figure out on this set, though, this corner. On that particular occasion I locked up a tiny bit. But those two corners, the timing of when you actually initiate the rotation is very important. And here you have to be really confident with the throttle. So overall, I found out in LMU that there's tons of places where you just have to be confident with how you slide the car and how you push it, right? So how it was the case here on the entry, you have to be really confident with how you can chuck the car into the corner and just ever so slightly of the brake, crank up the steering, and you can see how the car here just yaws into the corner and rotates into the apex, right? I mean, look how much yaw there is, right? How much closer the front tire is to the curb. It's almost halfway over the curb. The rear tires isn't even touching the curb. So there's tons of yaw in the car. And then after that yaw and early rotation, just go very early on the throttle. Right, and in the same way here with the throttle, it's easier because you start going up the hill. So the uphill helps you with both gaining front grip as you're chucking the car in there, and as it rotates, then it also compresses and gains grip to stabilize itself and go on the throttle. So there it helps you with that. But then in a corner like this, when it's going down the hill on the opposite, you have to be aggressive in the same way. On the entry, it will look a bit better maybe on the next lap, but you have to be aggressive on the entry, and then on top of that you have to keep on rotating it with the throttle, because if you just keep waiting, here it goes down the hill, so the car is gonna start under steering, right? So you have to just go on the throttle and continue that rotation. You can see as I go on the throttle, the car completes that rotation, and you have to counter steer. That's why TC settings are so crucial to get right, I think. I'm still gonna have to keep on playing with it. Funnily enough, whatever I tried yesterday, which was 8-3-3, used to ended up being still quite a good TC setting overall, I think, for this particular use case, right? But there's a very fine margin with how much you're using TC for controlling that rotation, how much you're using your own throttle and steering control to control that rotation, right? Because you can see that I'm not fully eating the throttle, and it's not a full drift. It is a natural smooth progression from understeer mid-corner, right here on the very initial exit, to here the car starting to rotate and slide where I can open up the steering, yet it's still nicely rotating on its own, right? Let's go to an actual lap. Which was the fastest and wasn't invalidated. Where does it start? It starts somewhere here, right? Yeah, there's a lap. You see? There, that time around, there was perfect amount of oversteer to just not kill off that slide, and it continued rotating throughout the whole thing. that's it. Going back to what I was saying on the stream, right? All of this has to be backed off a little. The car should not be allowing you for that sliding to be fast. It should be backed off where the grip is, how far into the slip angle. Just a very clean lap, you know. It's just a very clean lap. That's how it usually looks in the end, where when the car is nicely balanced, that it doesn't look like it's that much on the ragged edge, just because the step gives the driver confidence to push, right? But it's so much less understeer and so much more balanced than the default set, I think. Because the default set that we drove on the I mean, it was like slightly modified default set, but it was a default setup that we drove in that event. That setup was a lot more. It was like unbalanced. It had tons of understeer on the entry that I just had to wait and wait and wait. I remember especially this corner right here. Like I had to wait for forever and drag the brakes, and with the brake bias being way more forward without my brake migration, I was just dragging like ever so slightly locked up, like on the verge of full lockup front right tire, and the car was just plowing forward, and I even had to downshift to first gear to initiate more rotation. And here I can just trail brake ever so slightly, point the car at the corner, and it just digs into the apex, you know. But obviously with a lower TC setting and at the end of the day more rotatey setup, I have to be way more cautious on how the exit looks like. Probably missed the first apex as well. Yep, very so slightly. I still don't know what's the way to go here in this corner, because you can have like a really nice lock up on the rear that's gonna send the car into that like weird forward slide, and if you don't heat up the tires enough throughout it, and it's not gonna be big enough, then it's gonna magically grip up in the middle as you're gonna kill off that slide, and then transition into traction, but it's gonna gain overall because of how it rotated. And it's the forward slide is not gonna cost it like lateral grip that would just not get the car turned into the corner. So you see, it's throughout the whole corner, it's controlling that slide, but without killing off that rotation, and you have to just pick the moment at which you initiate that slide. Here, it starts, and ever so slightly controlling it, but never completely killing it off, right? It keeps on sliding, it keeps on sliding, keeps on sliding. You can see the LEDs for the traction that you can see there that the car is sliding. And it's very difficult to figure out with the TC what to run, because high TC settings were making it extremely easy, right? But we're just killing off too much speed. And very low TC setting and stable car was too understeery or too difficult to control on throttle. So, I mean, we'll figure it out over time, right? What's the most efficient way of doing it? But it is the way that you have to figure out how to keep that car at a very high, not very high, but overall high slip angle without killing off those micro slides. Because if you kill it off, it just understeers. And here, undulations of the track and different, when the car is in the compression, it loads up, then it unloads, it changes throughout the corner, it makes it very difficult. Here on both occasions I locked up, but like I still can't figure out what's the best way to go through here. Because if I would like manage to really nicely slow down the car through the
apex, have it rotated here a lot more heavily, and then go on the throttle in a more straight line. Like I said, on all the other laps, it felt like I was just losing too much time by overslowing the car on the apex. So here, yes, I missed the apex, right? But it seems like you just have to carry the speed through the corner. It was the same on turn 2, where at some point I just figured, in that community event 2 days ago, I think I was just overslowing the car here because I wanted to rotate it very early and have it already here, just point it straight, a lot more tighter, and focus on the traction. And it feels like I just need to carry more speed into it and maybe keep it even tighter, obviously. I mean, there's tons of small mistakes left, right, and center this lap. I mean, apexes are missed left, right, and center, but it's more about understanding the tire behavior and driving the tire properly on whatever the line it ends up being. Hello. Here as well, it was very important to just kill off the slide completely and point the car straight whenever I was entering the curb, and here press TC override as I'm going over that curb, right? But because I'm pressing TC override, and like you saw, whenever I was with the TC override too early here on a very oversteery setup, it would just lit up the rear, so we had to make sure it's fully straight. It was the same out of this hairpin, that the TC is here, and then at this point when it finally grips up and you're going in a straight line, just TC override, and it's gonna just slide the tires, make them slip just ever so slightly, but it's in a straight line, it's fine, it gives you acceleration, but the TC that we're running would just slow you down. I was very surprised that curb was very usable under braking, you know? Once you go past that curb, then it seems like you bottom out with the underbody. But when I put the tires on that curb, it seems like more real estate of the track to use, and it was fine with braking on it. It was interesting. And here on that particular set, I just like you have to initiate the rotation very deep into the entry. Like here, not yet, but here it needs to be initiated a bit deeper into the entry. Here I'm too early, and now because I'm too early on the inside, then I can't get as much rotation. So I would have to be ever so slightly more to the outside, deeper, and then when I'm deeper into that exit, then initiate tons of rotation there, because of that I have to wait in that mid corner. With the understeer, and but then because of that ever so slight understeer, I get just too much. I have to be too patient with the throttle, because otherwise I would understeer. So I just wasn't aggressive enough here. Maybe from the inside you can see it more clearly. Here I committed just too early. You see, I committed too early, and now because of it I have to wait. So it should have been deeper, and this rotation up to a certain point like this, from this point I should have already started accelerating, right? But here I can't do it because there's still so much corner to go. So I have to just wait. But it's difficult to do because it's very deep into the corner. I don't want to lock up. And here I noticed I just need to miss the curb altogether, and because like the height difference of that, I don't know, it like settles down quicker, and then because it settles down quicker, the front end bites quicker,
and then I don't have as much understeer on the exit. And I just carry more speed throughout. Really interesting. Maybe I'll record that lap and upload it at some point somewhere. I think that corner should be flattish on some setups, but they don't do that corner flat IRL either, right? I mean, if you go and look at some of the onboards, let me load that replay again. Some of the onboards, WEC, Portimao. Oh my god, my keyboard doesn't want to work. Hypercar. WEC, Portimao on board. Let's go with a Ferrari because Ferrari is a fucking monster. Can I show that in OBS? I think I should be able to show it, maybe. Let me change the scene. This is from practice, so they're taking it so much easier. I wouldn't be surprised if this is also a lift, yeah. So we can be there. You see, like we can be there so much aggressive with how we slide the car on throttle, and they just have to lift and wait for the car to grip up. Obviously, it's practice, so it is so much slower of a lap, right? Right. Let me see. I swear there needs to be another like harder push lap. Yeah, also playing with. Although with the Porsche, you can see the different car. They are actually a lot more aggressive. I mean, I'm extremely surprised, considering how complex hypercar is, and how difficult it should be to stimulate its driving. I don't think they're that difficult cars to drive, but I'm really impressed how accurate LMU is with like whatever lines, gears, apex speeds, overall approach to the driving you have to take. Like the tires are too slidey. That's absolutely true. But like, fuck me, that's really close. And
And like when you think whatever in iRacing is happening right now, like GTPs in iRacing currently are completely unreal, right? Like if we go to 963 Le Mans poll, the poll up from Estre, I mean, how hard he's pushing it, it's ridiculous, right? Oh, so you can see that those cars can be pushed, especially turn 1 here, I'm gonna show you, right? But the thing is that he's still on the ragged edge, but it's not like he's gaining grip from it. He's trying to rotate the very oversteer cars as much as possible, but you can still see where and how he's stabilizing it, where it is the time to apply the power, or when it's not necessarily about rotating the car but making the car grip up. And in LMU there's that weird thing that you can rotate the car and then make it grip up at an extremely high slip angle on top of that, right? But like that lap is so on the ragged edge. Look how he rotated it into the corner, right? But then you can see how on the exit, whenever he's sliding right here, the car is not accelerating and is really reluctant to accelerate. And in LMU, it seems like on that level of slide, the car would like rocket out of the corner and gain tons of grip. So he has to control that slide, and then when he controls it, the car does fire out of the corner, right? And on the corner entry when he's sliding it, I mean, that only works because there is no real exit after it. And to be fair, I would assume that Estre would still prefer that slide to not happen, right? At the end of the day, it is something that just unsettled the car and made it lose grip. And then that oversteer he had here, he just pointed the car very early at the corner, so it kind of counteracted it. But then he loses the car, then it makes the whole car lose grip and go to the outside, and it transfers into the understeers that now he has here, right? So it's still a slide that if he would have broke later, locked up less, turned in later, gained more grip, it could have been faster, right? Small margins, but this isn't the fastest way through. While in LMU, it seems like you have to almost initiate it. You have to initiate that slide, and there's that grip in that slide. So, you know, I don't like iRacing because like you just can't do shit like that with the car. You can't play on the limit with it. But LMU is completely on the other side of the spectrum, where you can play with it, but you're almost pushed into like having to play with it over its limit, because that is the fastest way. And like it is on the ragged edge, but you can see that even though he's playing a lot with the inputs and the steering, the car itself isn't sliding as much, right? But it is fully on the limits. It's a beautiful lap, by the way. So you can see how much more stable he has to keep the car. And then when he goes on the throttle on the exit, yes, he rotates the car on the throttle a lot. You can see that the lights for the rear slip go on, but then he controls that slide and settles it down, so the car accelerates. Then a little TC kicks in over the curb. So you can see that the car is very lively. It moves around. You have to keep pushing it to the edge of the sliding, but never actually fully slide at a high slip angle. You have to play with it and you have to find rotation, yes, but you can't really drift it. And that's what I always liked about ACC back in the day. Right now, the tire model is very goofy in the way how it's all achieved, but it still has that thing about it that you have to push the car, but you can't drift it, but you still have to push it. In some cases it's a bit like on off with how the slip angle is and so on, but I mean, you can see those little slides and corrections that he has to do throughout the whole time, but he has to do those corrections because he has to ensure that the car can't slide too much. It still has to grip up. He has to rotate it, so in pursuit of that rotation there are slides and corrections he has to do, but he has to play with the car, but he can't fully slide it.
Let's see how the Porsche S's are gonna look like. And obviously bear in mind this is a completely different style of a wrap because it's a very low downforce, high speed. And in Portimao there's tons of high downforce technical. Look how much the car moves around here, right? As he goes on the throttle and the front bites in and the car is just on the ragged edge. And you know, in LMU you could here go in the corner and be way more, you would lean way more on the front tires to bite and rotate the car and wait for the rear tires to come around. But here, and the car is already in a slip angle, you can see, and he has to control how much of that rotation the front tires are generating, because otherwise the rears would not be able to handle it, right? And he has to control it, and he's playing with that. And in ACC, for example, that window is way smaller, and that window where you overcome the grip of the rear tires that are controlling the rotation is way earlier. And in LMU it's way further, and it's way too far right now, especially. But here again into the last corner you can see how much he just slides it in, because here again a corner where pure rotation is key, because he just is gonna get as much rotation as possible and then stabilize it, because the next corner is just a right-hander, and he's already at that speed. So as long as he's gonna get to the second part of that last chicane at a better angle, the rotation he gets here is gonna be fast, and allow him to carry the more speed throughout the entire section, not only the last corner. Lovely lap, lovely lap. No, not this. Yeah, well, let's see where iRacing is gonna end up with the cars with just updated, be it either tire model or aero model, because I don't know, was it the tires that were not producing enough grip earlier? Was it the aero that was that's producing the too much grip overall? Is it still that both the aero and the tires are producing too much grip overall? I just don't find iRacing tires to be playable enough, you know? Like iRacing tires gets a lot of car behaviors really right, but I think their tires are I agree a lot with Niels here, and they're way too load sensitive, and you get all the grip out of them by loading them up properly. And then but then on the other hand, it seems like here sometimes there are situations where you could load up the tire and then initiate the slide, but then there not enough sensitive or like sensitive to with the grip fall of past a certain slip angle, that you can just load up the tire, get certain behavior out of the car, rotate it, but then that rotation doesn't cost you anything, and it's not like you have to control that rotation, you just have to ask for even more. Sure, at some point you have to stop, but that point is just extended way further into the slip angle than it should be, right? Let me try something. Let me play with the Reshade. Can I get a camera shake? I swear there was like a filter for a camera shake to make it look more realistic. I think ever so slightly different color grading, deeper shadows, and really good motion blur would really make this game look really good. Like the graphics in the game are extremely simple, and whatever needs to be detailed and reflective is. I mean, you can see the textures are so simple. There's very little vegetation wherever the grass is. Those aren't even the high graphics, but the game looks pretty nice. But if I turn off all that stuff, it looks then a bit more like pale. And it has that weird blue tint. And the shadows are just not deep enough, you know? Because obviously the idea is that the game it's not really about the cinematic look. Whatever is very dark, the blacks shouldn't be like crushed. So you can see that like right there on the exit, like you look at the diffuser of the car, you can see everything. And obviously with the screen technology how it is, well, you have an option. You can either show entire dynamic range of the lighting, so something that's very dark, like something that's very dark compared to something that's very dark but still visible. The screen doesn't have enough darkness in it because it's LCD to fully show how dark that part is. So if you don't make it dark enough, then entire game has that weird look that just blacks are not black enough. But to make those blacks black enough, then you crush basically all the areas that are shadowed right here. Like you cannot see anymore the detail in that shadow because it's like to achieve the certain look and effect, everything has to be, all of the blacks have to be, the levels of the blacks have to be turned lower, and there's no more detail in that, right? So to have the detail in there, because those areas right there still should be extremely dark, but at a different level of darkness, right? But to achieve that on a screen, everything seems to be still like almost too light, not dark enough. But if you make stuff properly dark enough, then the dynamic range of that darkness isn't right. Why the fuck even am I going into this right now? It was supposed to be a LMU stream and I'm just playing with Reshade. You know what I mean. I think it's a game with big potential overall, both physics-wise, graphics-wise, online-wise. I mean, they need to figure out how to get rid of the bugs, tweak that tire model a little. Oh, that camera is really nice. If the track models were improved almost, you can see like I applied that reshade, and now the darks are here completely crushed, right? And it looks absolutely awful, right? Like for the cinematic look, if it was just from a TV camera, it looked good. But now we have all the details in the scene, and now that those blacks are just crushed, and there's not, and it looks extremely weird here. There's also obviously that stuff like ray tracing would. It's not only about the color grading of the scene. I mean the shadows themselves and the shadowing have a lot to do here, I assume. But when you don't have the shadows, you could somewhat help with the color grading of the scene itself. But obviously that's not gonna fix with actual illumination. that motion blur that's applied from Reshade looks so goofy. Because I noticed that the in-game motion blur is almost like non-existent. If I turn off all the stuff, like apparently there should be motion blur applied, and there just isn't any. Or if it is, it's so light that. Look, I know people hate motion blur, and I could get crucified for it, but I like the effect that the motion blur gives you. I know that for playing, it's bad because, well, you want the image that you see to be as connected to whatever the input you're giving to the game, right? And the motion blur distorts that input. It almost feels like it has latency. It doesn't let you understand the one-to-one how your input with the mouse correlates, or with whatever input device you're using, how it correlates to whatever you're seeing on the screen, right? But for visuals, I genuinely think that really well implemented motion blur on specific objects can do magic, but it has to be extremely well implemented motion blur, that there are objects in the scene that are blurred heavily, but those are not objects that necessarily like then the objects that need to pop out of the scene can't have as much blur in them anymore, right? So it has to properly. Well, I don't know how the motion blur is done on the technical aspect of it all, but a well-executed motion blur I like. What does this do? I never used that filter. I don't like it. Like, some of those shots look really fucking good in this game. I mean, that heli come through turn 1 here was really lovely. Now the helicopter is like further back because I moved the replay, right? But whenever the helicopter was just at the top of turn 1, it was really nice. But then ACC really shined with the model quality, because like this is so clean right here. If it had more, like, if those textures, it's just about textures, were done in a way that you can see more like wear and rubber being laid down those curbs over which the cars are clearly going, and that gutter wouldn't be as clean and, let's say, just factory new in its looks, but just made to look a bit more rough. If that difference between the texture of the grass and the dirt here, and ever so, like, I don't know how much the foliage would affect the that texture right here, but like ACC done it really well, and Gran Turismo does it fucking perfect with how just the texturing and the models of the track make it look more like just rough and driven on and used. Let me actually put the game settings to ultra. The motion blur in the menu looks so goofy. post effects are on high. The in-game motion blur is technically on. Since I'm using the in-game one, sorry, the Reshade one, I'm gonna turn that off. And I'm gonna put everything on ultra. Opponent detail, I mean, it doesn't matter, but I think nothing here I need to change. Yeah, Gran Turismo looks great for screenshots. But look, it is in Gran Turismo. It is one of their main thing that they have to make the game look photorealistic and good, as like really nice to look at, right? And there's tons of those things. Like I told you in Gran Turismo, that Gran Turismo is done in a very cinematic way, and it looks at the first sight a lot darker, and there's tons of dynamic range that like the stuff that's really dark, there's gonna be tons of crushed blacks there, and a lot of motion blur and stuff like that. Okay, so I see the texture is a bit higher quality on ultra, but there's still no actual vegetation. And what I'm trying to say, it looks like it's almost as if that texture looks too unified, and like the rubbered line isn't like rubbered enough. Like under braking zones, there should be kind of a bit more rubber on the track. The asphalt should look rough in certain areas. The curbs should look very used in certain areas. The lines that are being that are on the track could use some work in a way that they also almost are disappearing under the rubber that's being laid on them, or are just the paint is not there anymore because of its age, right? Yeah, but I think a lot of it could be just texture work. I mean, it's just textures, because the model is great. I think Jardier also mentioned the same, like Spa, for example. Spa looks so clean, like it would be like the curb was like straight out of the factory and nothing touched that curb, you know? And it's a perfect curbstone through brand new concrete, clean, like no, not eroded by any weather effects ever, you know? But it should have some of it. Yeah, but FPS, I'm talking about the texture. Like, it's just about the texture. The game file would be bigger, and you would maybe potentially need a better VRAM on the GPU. But like, it's just a texture work, and the truth is that there would be a lot of, I would assume, manual just artistic work that would have to be put into it, right? Because it would just be manually pre-baked, just create the texture to achieve a certain look, to fool you for, you know, look like certain material, have certain properties, even though it's not really a property of a material. It's just the texture that it's the same with the grass, right? Like you can see, obviously we don't have any like actual grass on the track, but you have a green texture that in certain places it's a bit more yellow, and it gives you that idea that there is grass there and it has certain patches. To the naked eye while driving, it fools you, especially if you're looking at it from distance, right? But whenever you look at it a bit closer, you can see, and from like higher up angle, like from a TV cam, you can see how what am I clicking? Just fucking flat it is, right? But obviously vegetation would be probably very GPU intensive. But yeah, look, I'm nitpicking, right? It's because I like where the game is and I see the potential. That's why I'm pointing out. Oh, there could be some tweaks done, and the game will just suddenly pop and may be so much bigger. But let's be honest, they have such bigger stuff on the table right now to work on and fix than fucking make their artists do manual work and complete retexture of entire game, right? We can work on that for the future or for future content, right? But all the multiplayer implementation and stuff like that, obviously that has to come first, and all the bug fixes and physics tweaks, those have to be first. It's good looking. It's a good looking game. Shots like that, Jesus, like that's a really good shot, especially with that motion blur added, right? So that motion blur hides a lot of imperfections. Like, look how simple the models in the background. It's like, it's very simplistic, right? But with good effects, good color grading on top of that, some motion blur, great camera work. I mean, the shot looks stunning. This is really good looking. That's also why Assetto Corsa with mods looks so good, because when you think about it, it's actually extremely simplistic in some stuff that is there in the models that it uses, but then you put some texture on it, you put some great reflections on the stuff that really needs to be reflective, and then just post-process effects to oblivion to make it look cinematic, because it's not about really the quality of that graphic, but the effect it gives you. So lens flare, blur, bloom, glare, stuff like that, that's really precisely tweaked for a specific scene, but that just makes that scene pop. A lot of ambient occlusion that's improved. Also, I am a guy that likes it. The way ACC was fucking horrible at the way that car loads up in the replay, how it moves on its feet, how the tires are rolling, and how you can see the rotation and motion of the tire and entire car. It's done really well in this game. It's similar to iRacing in that regard, right? You can see the car is moving a lot more on its feet because it is moving a lot more on its feet in this game. It's sliding a lot more, so you can see that yaw in the car, right? But ACC falls short in that regard with its implementation in Unreal Engine. That shot is also really nice. That car just looks like a brick moving on the track, and the wheels in the wheel will move in extremely weird way, and the motion on the wheel rim and the tires is really done in a weird way. This looks really nice. Yeah, look, if LMU was to become like a bigger esport title, and there would be more and more broadcasts, like people from that do broadcast would appreciate stuff like that a lot, because like a broadcast for a race isn't really gonna, like we showed that scene before. They're not gonna care that like you can see the dynamic range of shadowing in that diffuser. They look that the scene looks cool, right? So I'm not saying that overall they need to just lower the exposure and lower the gamma and increase the gamma, right? You use way more sophisticated tweaks and color grading in game and in game engine rather than just doing just a simple reshade like I did, because I just threw a very heavy reshade on it for just eye-popping effect, right? But it's not really about that. But yes, like if you would make the broadcast look eye-popping and really cinematic like that, with some simple effects, and just make sure that those effects work quite consistently throughout majority of the cameras and majority of the time of days as well, because we have to make sure that in the night as well the stuff is just not too dark. Like a lot of ACC broadcasts, a lot of ACC broadcasts fell short in that regard, that they put really dark filter on it, but then the night comes and in the night you just can't see shit. But if someone there has time, you can just tweak it and get great results out of them. Because I would say, like, watching a race that's broadcasted that looks like that would be a lot more pleasing to the eye than just looking at the bare bones game. Just looks very clean. It has that very weird blue tint to it. It looks great, don't get me wrong, but it's less cinematic, right? But as a sim racing title, while you're driving, you can see everything that you need to see, and it's pretty, right? Because obviously, one thing is to be able to make it cinematic. Another thing altogether is to make it actually look good. Like, for example, I mean, I am a big Cyberpunk fan, so you know, if you saw all like those modded Cyberpunk videos with like ridiculous reshades, and it looks extremely cinematic, right? But if you would like to play that game with that, it would be unplayable. Like, you wouldn't be able to see shit because the sun is blinding. You can't actually see in the scene wherever like the enemies are. Like for example, in games overall, that's a problem. How to make the characters look realistic, but at the same time make human characters in a way pop out of the scene, so your human eye on the screen can very easily identify a certain player or a posture of a human being somewhere and standing somewhere and being on a specific place without you really, you know, IRLs having depth perception, and you also being able to very easily spot that person standing there, right? So it's very difficult thing to use various lighting tricks to make it seem like the certain character in the scene isn't popping out of the scene too much, but at the same time don't make it blend into the rest too much, because like you have to spot the enemy. Like in a shooting game, you want it to look realistic and have certain degree of photorealism in it, but at the same time you want the enemy to just pop out of the scene. You want the player to be able to spot the enemy, right? Yeah, I mean night is extremely difficult to do, because on one hand, like, it's dark as fuck and you can't see shit and the lights are blinding. On the other hand, you want to see what's happening, and on one hand you want to make it look realistic, on the other hand you don't want to make it look unrealistic, but at the same time you want people to see, right? So it's very thin margin. I also don't know how to control cameras in this fucking game. It looks like I can like cycle through them, but on top of that it looks like they're cycling on their own. Cameras in LMU are great, so if you could have them categorized a bit more and better control over who you're spectating, like replays show you actual laps and lap times of people. The broadcasting I think potential here would be great because of the camera work. ACC, for example, had quite decent broadcasting tools that throughout time got implemented into the game, and the broadcasting versus various ACC events was quite easy, and you could easily see who's doing what, who's where on the track, what are lap times that the people are doing, what are the gaps, what's the state of the race. You could use various cameras, but the cameras and the track cameras that were implemented into the game had that thing that they're tracking the car. For example, look, right now, at the beginning of the scene, the car is here in the screen. It goes, it's now a lot lower on the screen. It goes through the compression. Now it's in the middle of the screen. It goes through the compression. It is higher on the screen, right? The camera is following the car, but it's not like it's stuck to the car. And in ACC, the camera was like stuck, that the car was always in the center. It was always stuck looking at the car, and the car was always at the one point, and it was obviously pivoting and rolling around that car and moving through space, the camera, right? But it was always stuck on the car, and it had that unnatural feeling. And with this, you have that more believable look that we are used from normal TV broadcasts, where just humans are moving the cameras and following the cars, right? And this gives you this way more natural look that, yes, you're following the car, but the camera isn't particularly stuck to the car. There's so much more movement in it that makes it look natural. But at the same time, a camera like that, like if you would give this camera ever so slightly of that movement, that like the camera like the motion reduction of the camera, like shake reduction of the camera, makes it the camera move ever so slightly left to right, and also like shaking over the curbs, little effects like that, right? That's why I wanted to search if I could find a camera shake in Reshade, right? If there was ever so slightly more just eye candy effects that would make that camera just look so realistic, like rumbling effect when the car goes over the curb, and entire camera seems like it's shaking because it's not stuck to the car, and it's not mounted as tight to have the camera be so static in the car, right? It is a static camera, but if you would just give it like stupid little effects right there, those little effects would make it seem so more realistic and believable. It would look so cinematic. Let me see, because I haven't looked through much settings. Look how this looks like. Like I told you, those blacks are crashed, but fuck me, it looks so much nicer. Maybe it's even a bit too dark, but it's a really pretty game. And again, like, you just give the entire scene a bit more texture work, a bit altogether completely different global illumination, but that would obviously be half FPS and would be amazing. Okay. We don't want that. That's just gameplay HUD. I wonder what if I put white HUD on how it's gonna change the HUD position in VR. I'll test that later. That's only HUD. Wait, what were those sliders for? And damage. Controls, that's not gonna be that. Okay, graphics. Windowed, VSync, effects, motion blur, FSI, FXAA. Actually, turn that off. That's that's for driving camera. Oh yeah, you're right. I want to see how this looks. That seems interesting. But this is for group tracking. But yeah, basically those are the exactly settings that would that motion blur looks so scuffed in the menu. But those are the settings that control basically that how that camera is not stuck onto a one car, but picks up groups of cars and stuff like that. I don't know to play with those settings because I mean I'm not really gonna be broadcasting stuff. Someone told me about HRTF. What do I need to broadcast? Track side mode, immersive. Let me see how the immersive would sound like. I have no idea what those mean, unfortunately. Okay. I don't remember what I changed, but let's see how it looks in the replay. Bro, the immersive sounds are fucking amazing. Holy shit. If the sparks had a bit more saturation in them, that would be also nice. Yeah, the audio is done really great. The audio work is beautiful in this game. The audio work is beautiful. Credits where credits due. The audio is fucking amazing in this game. And it's not only because it's never about really the recording's quality. It's always about how you implement the sound, when you can hear it, how are the levels, how where those little details that sometimes they are being played, the directionality of it, the strength for certain effects, how the effects are being blended in, how the Doppler effect is being handled, how the ambient sound is enriching the overall experience of the audio experience of that of whatever you're seeing, right? Okay, so it seems like it's following the same camera. Let's swap to this. Maybe this is gonna follow different sets of cameras. I really like this shot here. I haven't seen those yet. That was really nice. And also, that what I was talking about, that making that curve look a bit more like used, right? You can see that there are like textures of rubber being on it, but like it just needs more, right? When I was doing like scale models, right? Like especially if you do something military, you can't be scared of like. Then when you were applying, just it was called weathering effects, right? You can't be scared of like applying the effects onto a tank or whatever you or on the soldiers, like. And you're like applying like fake shadowing and like rust, dirt, just wear and tear effects of like real scratches, and don't be scared of doing that. You just put tons of it on the tank. Obviously, in specific places, it's not like you just put tons of them on entire tank, right? But in specific places, don't be scared of using what seems initially almost too much, but then it just completes the effect. Okay, another lap, another set of cameras. Oh fuck. So I see it goes through the same set of cameras in a given set of cameras. So this one should be again next set of cameras. This calls it cycle trackside. This game looked really nice. Holy fuck. So I think now it's automatically like cycling through various camera angles. I don't know. I swear that was already last lap. Like for example, this scene. That scene would benefit so much for a depth of field effect, which I wonder if this picks up on it. No, it's a bit bugged. Yeah, it's a bit scuffed, okay. But the cinematic depth of field works really well in Cyberpunk, at least. Like it picks up the depth of specific objects really well within the game engine. But like here, the background, it's also that obviously there's very little shadows there. But if the background had a bit more distant shadowing, and it was just blurred out more with the depth field, which would be focused a lot more on the track, that would like again elevate the scene hugely with a simple effect. In motion currently, a lot of that is just like patched up with the motion blur, right? Like you can see here, here the motion blur is applied, but very, very far, right? Yeah, really great looking game. Well, anyway, enough rambling and enough fooling around with how the game looks. Really cool stream. We'll figure out a setup that works relatively well. Yeah, really cool game. Let's see where the future updates are gonna move LMU to, like what changes are gonna be made, and if they are gonna change ever so slightly the tire model and back off that grip that's very high right now past the slip angle, because like they have a great product, they and that needs tweaking and needs work. Don't get me wrong, it needs work, but there's a base, right? For example, yesterday Rensport early access release. I mean, I tweeted out basically what happened. I installed the game, I did 10 laps, I uninstalled the game. It's absolutely horrible, right? The driving experience, absolutely horrific. It seems like the devs maybe want to improve it, but it seems like they're doing little changes here and there, but they're changes that barely seem to be affecting driving in any way, and the driving is broken for forever. The cars completely don't seem like cars. Like they're awful, and that's it. It seems like they're trying to focus on everything else and monetize it, but he can't do it if the base isn't good. But with LMU, let's hope that they're not gonna do too many mistakes like that. They have a great base. Let's let them cook, right? They made some tweaks right now to the tire model. It was a step backwards, it seems like so far. But, you know, one thing is making mistake, another is acknowledging it, and then improving and fixing that mistakes, or trying something else, right? They do need to change something, they need to try something. There was a problem with the braking. They tried to fix that problem with the braking. They did. They just implemented some other issues that maybe they hoped wouldn't be as big, but it seems like they're not experienced running, but it made physics go into the direction that it seems like a lot of players, in my humble opinion, also I don't think they should go, with making the tires be even more forgiving past the limit. So they have a great base. The systems in the game work great so far. It's great fun. So let them cook. Let them cook. It's early access after all. And I'm just looking forward to seeing the physics changes in the upcoming updates, because I think there are people working there that understands those issues and are gonna be able to eke them out with time. And you can see that, for example, with the audio of the game, right? There are certainly people there that know what they're doing and can get the game and certain areas of the game to be really, really outstanding. For example, the audio. The audio of the game is outstanding. Not only the game, the sounds themselves, but just the like the entire effect that you can hear, all the blending of the sounds and how they are mixed. It's all done really great, and the directionality of it, it's great. For example, the audio is amazing. So like I said, you can tweak the graphics a little, you can tweak the physics. It's gonna be a great game. I think this is gonna be a great game. Then we just need to pray that on the way, the bugs are not gonna kill it. Because after all, it is RF2 underneath. But hey, just looking forward to it. But thank you very much for tuning in for today. 3-hour stream, just fooling around with the setups. Seems like cars being soft work, and it's all about just fooling around so far and finding what works. But yeah, see you on some upcoming streams then. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, why can't I leave yet? What do you want from me? One question. You get one question. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's YouTube. You can rewatch the stream. There was a lot of me just rambling. One Sebring race. I don't know how to drive on Sebring. Is it daily? Oh fuck! There's new LM GT3 fixed. And multi-class fixed. Why are no. It's completely new tracks, so we're leaving that for another day. I thought it's still Spine Portimao, but it's new tracks. Also, look at this. With the reshade, even those graphics look fucking better. Okay. LMGT3 fixed at Sebring, which is for me McLaren because I don't have that, and Monza, which I always like Monza, so I guess this is LMP. Wait, is this multi-class or this is just LMP2? No, this is LMP2 and GT3. Okay. And both I assume are 20-minute races, right? This is 20 minutes and the other one also 20 minutes. Yes. And then here, if I unlock safety rating, which I'm close, there would be LMGT3 at Interlagos, which I don't have, and hypercars at Fuji, which I could do because I don't have all hypercars, but Fuji is in the base game. Then we have sprint at Monza, hypercar. Sorry, one stint sprint and hypercar hyper sprint series at Le Mans, and then weekly we have GT Revival. Okay, I assume an hour race, and then special event is gonna be 2.4 hour. Oh, and that's very nice. 2.4 hour Siberic for Anna. That's a charity event, so definitely gonna look into that. On 21st. So that's gonna be. Why can't I just see a calendar like that, bro? Windows 11 is pissing me off. Saturday, okay. GT3. We're gonna speak more about GT3s on next upcoming streams. I like them, but look, I don't think GT3s can be particularly like talked in LMU about as a separate category. I think LMU drives very similarly across the board. So I think everything that applies to GT3s applies to hypercars, and basically it's a great game, great implementation, but the tires are too forgiving past the limit. And I haven't played with the setups on GT3s yet, and so far we're gonna drive fixed because we need to grind rating, so we'll see. Look, we're gonna leave favorite GT3 opinion for later streams. Today we looked at hypercars, we talked about how hypercars work. I like GT3s, they're a bit different than ACC, they slide a bit more. I think they're too forgiving past the limit. It's not necessarily that they're forgiving, because you can slide them and you can spin them, but there's too much grip past the limit until you lose that grip. But that grip loss should be a bit earlier. But we'll leave it for later. Another stream, we're gonna be doing probably those dailies, because we need to grind rating, because the rating is absolutely shit, because we're in bronze with safety rating. But this is on 2, so I think I should be able to get to gold driver rating and silver safety rating quite easily. So we'll do that on the next stream, but for now I have to end. Over. This is it. Thank you very much for watching. See you then. And the game crashed on the exit. Perfect ending. Good night.